Boris Johnson has narrowly avoided a rebellion by some of his own MPs over cuts to the UK's foreign aid budget. MPs have demanded the matter be debated in Parliament, although any vote at the end of it will not be binding on the government.
A gathering of world leaders in Cornwall, the G7 conference this weekend, an opportunity for Britain to assert its global leadership. But in one area, we're falling behind. A Conservative manifesto pledged to spend 0.7% of our income on overseas aid scrapped.
We're in the middle of a pandemic, and it is really important that we support the effort here as well. You know, the Treasury has spent £407 billion. So what we've said is, of course, international aid needs to be spent, but we're going to temporarily cease the 0.7%.
The government insists it's right to stick to spending closer to home. But the cuts have left health and education programmes for the world's most vulnerable being cancelled or compromised. Too much for some Tory MPs who want that decision reversed. But after 7 months, MPs have still not had their say, and an attempt today to force a Commons vote frustrated.
Had we secured a vote on the new clause tonight, I can assure the House it would have secured the assent of the House by not less than a majority of 9. Mr. Speaker, in the wake of the British chairmanship of the G7, the government's failure to address this issue will indisputably mean that hundreds of thousands of avoidable deaths will result.
In the week that the Prime Minister prepares to host world leaders at the G7 summit, he's managed to avoid a potentially very embarrassing defeat in that place over his decision to cut the foreign aid budget by £4 billion a year. But this is very much a problem delayed, not resolved. The Speaker is determined that MPs will have their say one way or another. And while the world is watching, the rebels are going to keep pushing. MPs will vent their frustration in an emergency debate here tomorrow. Terrible timing for a PM hosting a global summit focused on the developing world, and the parliamentary pressure likely to follow him to Cornwall.